Your problem isn't laziness, it's the habit of negotiating with yourself every time action is required. You don't wake up and decide to fail your day. You negotiate it away in small moments that feel harmless. It happens when you tell yourself you'll start in 10 minutes, then those 10 minutes quietly become an hour. It happens when you open your phone just to check something and suddenly you're deep in irrelevant noise while the work you promised yourself is still untouched. Nothing dramatic breaks. No crisis appears. Yet the direction of your day is already gone. This is the real pattern. You are not avoiding work, you are constantly discussing it with yourself. And every discussion ends the same way. A weaker version of you gets just enough voice to delay what the stronger version already decided. That is why you feel stuck even when you are trying. Effort is not missing. Control is. If you keep allowing negotiation, discipline never becomes stable. It becomes emotional. Some days you win. Most days you quietly lose without noticing. And that inconsistency is what creates the identity gap. You start to see yourself as someone who can't stay consistent, when in reality, you never stopped agreeing with your distractions. Think about a simple moment. You sit down to do one important task, but before you even begin, your mind offers alternatives. Clean your room first. Check messages. Eat something. Prepare more. Anything except the actual task. You don't resist it. You respond to it. That response is the habit. By the end of this video, you will understand a specific internal shift that removes negotiation from the process entirely, so action stops depending on mood and starts depending on identity. Not motivation. Not pressure. Control. Because the real problem was never laziness. It was access. Access to your own decisions being shared with impulses that should never be in charge. What is happening inside you is not random. It follows a structure, and until you see that structure clearly, you will keep treating symptoms instead of the cause. There are 3 internal mechanisms running your behavior every day. First, the negotiation loop. This is the moment between intention and action where your mind starts offering reasonable delays. Not rejection, delay. After I rest. After I check this. After I feel ready. This is a psychological pattern of self-justification, where the mind protects comfort while pretending to respect responsibility. The problem is not the thought itself, it's your agreement with it. Second, the emotional permission system. You don't act based on priority. You act based on emotional readiness. If something feels slightly heavy, unclear, or uncomfortable, your mind quietly reduces its importance. This creates a distorted hierarchy where comfort becomes the decision maker, not logic. Third, the identity drift loop. Every time you break your own instruction, even in small ways, your identity shifts slightly. Not loudly. Not visibly. But consistently. You begin to trust your words less than your impulses. Over time, this produces a self-image of inconsistency, and once that identity is formed, effort feels heavier because you no longer fully trust yourself to follow through. A simple example, you plan to work for 60 minutes. After 10 minutes, you feel resistance. Instead of continuing, you check your phone for a break. That break was not needed physically, it was negotiated emotionally. And once you accept it, your brain learns, resistance equals permission to exit. That is how discipline dissolves, not through failure, but through repeated small agreements with avoidance. And here is the important shift. These mechanisms are not personality flaws. They are learned responses. Which means they can be replaced. But only if you stop participating in them. Not reducing them. Not managing them. Ending the negotiation entirely at the point of awareness. This is where real control begins. The moment you stop negotiating with yourself is the moment your entire behavior structure changes. Because discipline was never about intensity, it was about who gets to speak first inside your mind. Right now, your impulses speak first, and your logic responds after. That is why even simple tasks feel heavy. You are not starting from decision, you are starting from debate. The shift is simple in concept but difficult in practice. Remove debate entirely. Not reduce it. Not manage it. Remove it. And that only happens when you stop treating every instruction as optional. Most people believe they need stronger motivation. That is not true. They already have enough intention. What they lack is enforcement. There is a difference between deciding and obeying. Deciding creates flexibility. Obeying creates identity. When you decide to work, but still allow yourself to reconsider, you are not disciplined, you are temporarily convinced. And conviction without structure collapses under resistance. This is why consistency breaks under pressure. Pressure is not the problem. Lack of internal authority is. Now understand the first mechanism deeply, the negotiation loop. You sit down to work. There is clarity for a moment. Then resistance appears, not loud, just subtle discomfort. Instead of acting immediately, your mind opens a discussion. Should I do this now or later? That question feels harmless. But it is the entry point of failure. Because once you answer it even once, you establish a pattern. Action is not automatic, it is negotiable. And anything negotiable will eventually be delayed. The second mechanism, emotional permission. You have trained yourself to wait for the right feeling before starting. This is one of the most destructive patterns because it disguises avoidance as self-awareness. You say, I'm not in the right mindset. But mindset is not a prerequisite for action. It is a result of repeated action. Think about basic discipline in daily life. You don't wait to feel ready to brush your teeth. You don't negotiate whether to respond to urgent responsibility. But when it comes to long-term goals, you suddenly allow emotional conditions to decide behavior. That inconsistency creates fragmentation in identity. Now a grounded example. A person wants to build a skill, let's say writing. They plan to write every day for 45 minutes. Day 1 is fine. Day 2, resistance appears. Instead of sitting down immediately, they prepare, maybe watch a video about writing first. That preparation feels productive. But it delays execution. By the time they start, energy is lower. The session becomes shorter. Then guilt appears. Then next day becomes harder. Nothing dramatic happened. No failure event occurred. Just repeated negotiation disguised as preparation. That is how discipline dies quietly. Now a short quote that fits this reality. Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Jim Rohn. That quote is not motivational. It is structural. Because chance is what you rely on when you negotiate. Change is what happens when you stop. Third mechanism, identity drift loop. Every time you break a small instruction, you are not just changing behavior, you are updating your self-trust. This is the part most people ignore. They think it's just one skipped task. But your mind is recording something deeper. My instructions are not binding. Once that becomes internalized, future discipline requires more effort, not because tasks are harder, but because self-trust is weaker. That is why people feel drained before even starting. They are not tired of work. They are tired of breaking promises to themselves. Here is something important. Discipline is not built in big moments. It is built in the exact second you refuse to open negotiation. You feel resistance, and instead of responding, you act. No discussion. No justification. No emotional review. Just execution. At first, it feels rigid. Because your mind is used to having a vote in everything. But that vote is what has been costing you consistency. Another real-world scenario. You plan to study or work on something important. You sit down. Phone is nearby. A thought appears, let me just check one message first. That thought is not the problem. The response is the problem. If you respond once, you don't just lose 5 minutes. You reinforce a system where interruption is allowed. And once interruption is allowed, focus can never fully stabilize. The shift you need is not behavioral optimization. It is authority restoration. Right now, your impulses and your priorities are treated equally. That is why you feel divided. In a disciplined identity, impulses are acknowledged but not consulted. They exist, but they do not decide. So what changes practically? You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" You stop asking, "Is now the right time?" You replace both with execution that starts before debate forms. Because the real enemy is not distraction, it is permission. And the moment you stop giving permission to every thought that appears, your entire internal system becomes stable. Not perfect. Stable. And stability is what creates long-term progress without burnout. Now the shift is becoming clear. You are not trying to become more productive. You are trying to stop being available to negotiation. That is the difference between effort-based discipline and identity-based discipline. One requires constant willpower. The other removes the need for willpower altogether. At this point, the issue is no longer unclear. You already see the pattern. Your inconsistency is not coming from lack of awareness, but from lack of internal authority over what you already know you should do. Discipline was never designed to feel like effort every single time. It becomes effort only when identity is unstable. When your actions are not aligned with a fixed internal standard, every decision feels like a fresh debate. That debate drains you more than the work itself. The real shift is simple. Stop treating action as something you evaluate in real time. When you evaluate action in real time, you reopen negotiation. And negotiation always favors comfort in the short term. That is not weakness, that is how the human mind is wired. It reduces friction whenever possible. If you keep allowing that system to run unchecked, consistency becomes impossible. Now consider what changes when identity is fixed. If you see yourself as someone who does not negotiate with important work, then resistance is no longer a decision point. It becomes background noise. You acknowledge it, but you do not interact with it. That separation is what creates stability. This is where compounding begins. Not in motivation spikes, not in productive days, but in the removal of internal contradiction. When your actions stop conflicting with your decisions, energy is no longer wasted on self-correction. It is redirected into execution. And this is why small daily consistency matters more than intensity. Intensity creates short bursts. Consistency creates identity reinforcement. Every time you follow through without negotiation, you are not just completing a task, you are confirming a version of yourself. Responsibility also changes meaning here. It is no longer pressure. It becomes alignment. You are not forcing yourself to act. You are acting in accordance with what you already agreed internally. And when that alignment becomes normal, discipline stops feeling like a fight. It starts feeling like clarity. Because the truth is, most people are not stuck due to lack of knowledge. They are stuck because they keep reopening decisions that should already be closed. Close the decision once. Then live from it. That is where control begins. There is nothing left to figure out. The pattern has already been exposed, and once something is seen clearly, it stops being a mystery and starts becoming a responsibility. The difference between the person you are now and the person you keep expecting to become is not knowledge. It is whether you still allow negotiation when action is required. Every time you hesitate, you are not missing motivation, you are reopening a decision that should already be closed. And every time you close it without debate, something internal becomes more stable. Not louder. Not emotional. Stable. That stability is what eventually removes the need for constant effort. Because effort is what you rely on when identity is not yet fixed. When identity is fixed, behavior becomes predictable. You don't need a new version of yourself. You need fewer internal conversations before action. And when that silence before action becomes normal, discipline stops feeling like something you practice. It becomes the way you operate without thinking. No resistance to manage. No permission to seek. No internal vote to hold. Just a simple line you no longer cross. And once that line stays unbroken long enough, you stop asking whether you are disciplined. You already know the answer. The work speaks before you do.